Some people look rich the second they walk into a room. The watch catches the light first. Then the designer logo. Then the newest phone casually placed on the table like a trophy. Outside, the car speaks before they do. Inside, every move feels expensive. Fine dining, luxury vacations, VIP sections, premium everything. From the outside, it looks like success, like they figured life out, like money is flowing effortlessly. But appearances are dangerous, because sometimes the people who look the richest are standing on the weakest financial foundation. The truth nobody says out loud is this: looking wealthy and being wealthy are completely different games. One is built on optics. The other is built on ownership. One needs constant validation. The other compounds in silence. And the scariest part? Fake wealth often looks more impressive than real wealth. Because real wealth is usually invisible. It doesn't scream. It doesn't perform. It doesn't beg strangers for proof. It grows quietly in assets, in discipline, in delayed gratification, and in choices nobody claps for. But fake wealth? Fake wealth is loud, it's financed, it's performative. And beneath the polished surface, it's often hiding pressure, debt, anxiety, and a future that gets more fragile every month. And if you pay close attention, the signs are everywhere, not just in celebrities, not just in influencers, not just in strangers online. Sometimes, they show up in our friends, our families, even in our own habits. I'm Caesar, and I'm on a mission to take you to financial freedom through simple, straight-to-the-point money psychology breakdowns. Because once you understand the behavior behind money, you stop chasing appearances and start building freedom. So if you enjoy simple, no-fluff finance lessons that expose the psychology behind money mistakes, subscribe now and drop a comment saying, "Real wealth," so I know you're part of the mission. Today, we're breaking down the 10 signs of fake wealth nobody talks about. The subtle behaviors that create the illusion of success while silently destroying long-term financial freedom. And by the end of this video, you may realize these signs are far closer than you think. Some might even be hiding in your own financial life right now. Let's start with the first sign. The one society praises the most, but financially intelligent people fear the most. The moment someone starts looking rich before becoming financially secure, the illusion begins. It usually starts with something small, a designer item bought to feel successful, a luxury watch that says, "I'm winning," a premium phone upgraded not because the old one stopped working, but because the new one sends a message. Then the upgrades get bigger. The car payment rises. The apartment gets more expensive. The vacations become less about rest and more about proof. From the outside, it looks like progress, like life is finally moving upward. But beneath that polished image, there's often no real foundation, no emergency fund, no meaningful investments, no assets quietly growing in the background, just lifestyle inflation disguised as wealth. That's the first sign nobody talks about. Luxury purchases with no asset foundation. The dangerous part is that society rewards this behavior immediately. People notice what shines. They compliment what looks expensive. They assume the person wearing status symbols must be financially ahead. And the mind starts attaching self-worth to appearances. This is identity spending. People begin buying symbols to feel successful before they've actually become successful. The image comes first. The financial reality comes later. Or worse, never comes at all. And once someone gets addicted to looking successful, every purchase becomes emotional. The clothes aren't just clothes. They become validation. The car is no longer transportation. It becomes social proof. The premium lifestyle stops being enjoyment and becomes psychological armor, a way to protect the ego from feeling behind. But real wealth doesn't need armor. Real wealth builds the invisible first. Cash reserves, emergency savings, on ownership, assets, systems that keep generating value long after the excitement of a purchase fades. That's why some of the most impressive lifestyles are actually the most fragile. One missed paycheck, one bad business month, one emergency, and the entire image starts cracking. Now the second version of fake wealth is even more deceptive because it sounds responsible on the surface. It's income flexing. The obsession with talking about how much money comes in while avoiding any conversation about what actually stays. Some people love announcing salary numbers. They mention six figures every chance they get. Others post revenue screenshots, business dashboards, sales milestones, months that blew up. And to the average viewer, it looks like undeniable proof of wealth. But income is not wealth. Revenue is not wealth. Our cash flow without retained ownership is just motion. Money can move through someone's hands at incredible speed while leaving nothing behind. High salary, high revenue, high expenses, high pressure, and almost no net worth. That's the illusion. Because fake wealth loves gross numbers. Real wealth focuses on what remains after the noise. Assets owned, cash reserves protected, investments compounding, debt shrinking, ownership increasing. The wealthy don't just ask, "How much did I make?" They ask, "What did I keep? What now belongs to me?" That difference changes everything. Because a person earning millions can still be financially fragile if every dollar is tied to appearances, payroll, debt, and maintaining an expensive identity. Meanwhile, someone earning far less may be quietly building freedom through discipline and ownership. That's why the first sign is obvious: luxury without foundation. But the next signs become far more dangerous because they look responsible on the surface. And that's exactly how fake wealth hides in plain sight. The most convincing form of fake wealth is the kind that looks affordable. Not because it's cheap, but because it's broken into monthly payments. That's how the illusion survives. A luxury car no longer feels expensive when it's just a monthly note. The newest phone feels harmless when it's spread across 24 months. The couch, the dining table, the designer mattress, the vacation package, the watch, even the clothes. All of it becomes psychologically lighter the moment the full price disappears. And that's where borrowed lifestyle begins to masquerade as success. Because people stop asking, "Can I truly afford this?" They start asking, "Can I survive the monthly payment?" That question destroys financial freedom. Because once life is built on installments, every future paycheck is already partially owned by the past. The car note claims a piece. The iPhone financing takes another. Buy now, pay later grabs the next slice. Furniture installments pull again. Then comes the vacation debt. Money borrowed to impress people with memories that fade faster than the balance. From the outside, it still looks rich. The car is new. The apartment is beautiful. The vacations are cinematic. Everything feels elevated, but underneath, it's not wealth. It's rented status, a lifestyle borrowed from the future. And the dangerous part is how normal it feels. Because modern life has mastered the art of disguising debt as convenience. Nothing feels painful enough to stop. Nothing feels big enough to question. Until the pressure compounds. One payment becomes 5. 5 becomes 15. And suddenly income is no longer building freedom. It's servicing an image. That's where the trap tightens. Because the moment income rises, the lifestyle rises with it. A raise comes in. The apartment gets bigger. The restaurants get fancier. The vacations move from practical to premium. A new watch appears. A better neighborhood becomes necessary. The old standard of living, which once felt like progress, suddenly feels beneath them. This is the psychology of endless financial hunger. The brain adapts frighteningly fast. What once felt luxurious becomes normal. What once felt exciting becomes expected. And once the mind normalizes an upgrade, it starts craving the next one. That's hedonic adaptation. And success stops feeling like security and starts feeling like maintenance. Now comparison enters the picture. A friend upgrades their car. A coworker moves into a better building. Someone online posts a first-class flight. And instantly, the mind shifts its standard again. Not because life became worse, but because someone else's image redefined what enough looks like. That's how social comparison quietly manufactures fake wealth. Now imagine two people. Both get the same salary increase. The first person upgrades the visible life immediately. Better apartment, luxury dinners, designer accessories, a car that announces progress. For a while, this person looks richer. Everyone sees the rise. Everyone feels the glow. The second person does something quieter. The raise never touches lifestyle. Instead, it flows into index funds, more cash reserves, a business, income-producing assets, ownership. Nothing changes on the outside. No applause. No visible status jump. No external validation. Today, the first person clearly looks richer. That's what makes fake wealth seductive. It wins the short-term optics game. But zoom out 10 years. One person owns memories of payments. The other owns assets that kept compounding while nobody was watching. One financed upgrades, the other bought freedom. So here's the question that separates appearance from reality. Which one looks richer today? And which one actually wins in 10 years? Because fake wealth is obsessed with how life feels now. Real wealth is built around what life becomes later. And the next sign is even more deceptive, because it hides inside things people call rewarding yourself. Some people don't spend money to improve their lives. They spend money to create evidence. Evidence that they're successful. Evidence that they belong. Evidence that life is moving upward. And nowhere is that illusion more powerful than on social media. A luxury hotel room framed perfectly by morning light. Shopping bags placed carefully on the bed. A first-class seat filmed at just the right angle. A close-up of the watch, the champagne glass, the rooftop dinner. The soft life moment designed to look effortless. To the viewer, it feels like wealth, a life of ease, a life of abundance, a life most people secretly crave. But what they're really watching is often performative success. A highlight reel funded by emotional spending? Because some people no longer buy experiences for the experience itself. They buy the proof of the experience. The photo becomes more valuable than the memory. The post becomes more rewarding than the purchase. The reaction becomes the real product. That's where validation addiction quietly takes over. The brain begins to associate status purchases with social reward. Likes, comments, admiration, curiosity, silent envy. Every post reinforces the behavior. The mind learns that visibility feels like value, so the spending continues. Not for peace, not for comfort, not even for genuine enjoyment. For perception, for the image of success, for the moment strangers confirm the identity they're trying to build. And the terrifying part is how easy it is to mistake attention for achievement. Because attention is instant. Real wealth is slow. One gives dopamine now, the other gives freedom later. So people start choosing what can be seen. The expensive dinner that makes a better story. The trip that creates better photos. The watch that gets noticed in the handshake. The room upgrade that signals importance. What's invisible, investments, reserves, ownership, patience, gets ignored because it can't perform. That's why fake wealth thrives online. It converts financial insecurity into visual confidence. But the illusion goes deeper than purchases. Sometimes fake wealth isn't about what they own. It's about who they appear to be around. So they enter rooms they can't comfortably afford. High-end networking events, exclusive seminars, private dinners, luxury spaces where successful people gather. Not to learn, not to build meaningful relationships, not to grow, but to be photographed in proximity to success. A quick picture beside a wealthy founder, a short clip in an elite venue, a carefully written caption about being in powerful rooms. From the outside, it suggests momentum, like they're leveling up, like opportunity is expanding. But fake proximity is not real access. Being seen near wealth is not the same as building wealth, and many people quietly drain themselves trying to maintain access to environments that only serve their ego. Flights they shouldn't book, outfits they can't afford, tickets purchased for appearance, all to preserve the image of rising status. Meanwhile, the person who is truly growing often looks boring online, less visible, less glamorous, less performative. But they're in rooms where conversations turn into ownership, partnerships, and assets, not photo opportunities. That's the difference. One person networks for appearance, the other networks for transformation. One leaves with content, the other leaves with leverage. And over time, that invisible difference becomes impossible to fake, because eventually the photos stop working. The illusion gets harder to maintain, The lifestyle becomes expensive to perform. The pressure rises, and that leads to the most dangerous sign of all. Not what they proudly show, but what they never mention. The numbers behind the image, the debt, the cash flow pressure, the empty savings, the lack of ownership, the absence of anything real beneath the aesthetic. Because fake wealth loves visibility. But the truth always hides in what people avoid talking about completely. And the clearest signs of fake wealth are rarely the things people show. They're the things they never talk about. Because when wealth is real, the conversation eventually moves beyond lifestyle. It moves towards systems, ownership, protection, longevity. But fake wealth stays trapped at the surface. The car, the apartment, the trip, the dinner, the circles. Everything visible, almost nothing foundational. Listen closely to how some people talk about money. They can describe the exact features of a new car, the square footage of the apartment, the hotel brand, the restaurant tier, the resale value of a watch. But ask about investing, and the room goes quiet. No conversation about stocks, no mention of index funds, no ownership in businesses, no retirement strategy, no cash flow assets producing money while they sleep, on nothing that suggests the future is being built. That silence says more than the luxury ever could. Because real wealth naturally becomes interested in multiplication. Money starts asking a new question. How do I make this dollar work again? Fake wealth asks a different question. How do I make this dollar look impressive? That one mental shift separates appearance from freedom. And beneath that silence often sits something even more dangerous. No resilience. No margin for life to go wrong. One missed paycheck becomes panic. One slow business month creates chaos. One emergency hospital bill, one family crisis, one broken car, one delayed client payment, and suddenly the entire lifestyle starts trembling. This is financial fragility masked by social confidence. On the outside, the person looks calm, well-dressed, connected, successful, socially powerful. But internally, their finances are one interruption away from collapse. That's why visible wealth can be such a dangerous liar. The expensive lifestyle creates the illusion of safety. But safety is liquidity. Safety is access to cash. Safety is reserves. Safety is having enough breathing room that life's unpredictability doesn't instantly become disaster. A person can look incredibly rich and still be living in a constant state of hidden vulnerability. And many viewers will recognize this feeling. The silent anxiety behind appearances. The pressure of maintaining an image while secretly knowing there's no cushion underneath it. The fear that one disruption could expose everything. That fear changes behavior. It makes people protect the image even harder. They stay inside expensive circles they can barely afford. Friend groups built around status. Dinner spots chosen for optics. Trips taken because everyone is going. Birthday gifts, weddings, events, table splits, fashion expectations, all driven by invisible social pressure. This is where fake wealth becomes socially addictive. The environment itself starts dictating spending. People begin financing belonging, not because they truly value the expense, but because exclusion feels emotionally expensive. So they keep paying the price of acceptance. Forced social spending becomes normal. A luxury brunch here, a destination event there, a designer outfit just to match the room. And slowly, the person stops living according to their financial reality and starts living according to the spending standards of the people around them. It's one of the most dangerous forms of fake wealth because it feels like confidence. It feels like networking. It feels like lifestyle. It feels like success. But underneath, it's fear. Fear of looking small. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being the only one who says, I can't afford that. This is the self-reflection moment most people avoid. Are your environments helping you build wealth or pressuring you to perform it? Are your friendships aligned with growth or silently attached to spending expectations? Because fake wealth often survives through social momentum. The image stays alive because everyone around it is reinforcing the same illusion. And once you see that, you begin to understand the final sign. The one that determines whether someone is building a life of freedom or simply renting the appearance of one. And the deepest sign of fake wealth is the one almost nobody admits. It's not the car, not the watch, not the apartment, not even the debt. It's the reason behind the decision. The hidden motive that quietly controls the purchase before the money ever leaves the account. Some people don't buy things because they need them. They don't even buy them because they truly enjoy them. They buy them for strangers, for applause, for the subtle rush of envy in someone else's eyes, for perception, for the identity they're terrified of losing. This is where fake wealth reaches its deepest level. Because once money decisions are designed to impress people who have no real impact on your future, wealth stops being a tool and becomes a performance. Every purchase turns into social theater. The car is chosen for the reaction it creates. The restaurant is chosen for the story it tells. The trip is chosen for the image it projects. Even generosity can become performative when it's driven by the need to be seen as successful. At that point, money is no longer serving life. Life is serving the image. And that is one of the most expensive traps a person can live in. Because strangers never stop moving the target. There will always be someone with a better watch, a better seat, a better vacation, a better circle, a better version of the image you're trying to protect. So the chase never ends. The pressure never leaves. The spending never truly satisfies. Because fake wealth feeds the ego, and the ego is impossible to fully fill. But real wealth feels completely different. Real wealth is quiet, sometimes almost boring. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to explain itself. It looks like low ego, high ownership, patience when everyone else is rushing, privacy when everyone else is posting, cash reserves that create breathing room, compounding that keeps working in silence, peace that doesn't disappear when the room gets competitive. That's the shift. The moment money stops being about how life looks and starts becoming about what life allows. Freedom to say no, freedom to leave toxic environments, freedom to survive emergencies without fear, freedom to make decisions based on values instead of optics. Because fake wealth wants attention. Real wealth buys options. And options are what make a person untouchably powerful. The option to wait. The option to invest. The option to walk away. The option to protect your time. The option to choose peace over performance. That is the kind of wealth nobody can fake for long. So as this video ends, ask yourself one honest question. Are your money decisions building freedom or funding an identity? Because that single answer determines the life your future self will inherit. If this changed how you think about money, subscribe and drop a comment telling me which fake wealth sign you see most often around you. Remember, the goal isn't to look financially free. The goal is to become untouchably free. And that's exactly what we do here, one mindset shift at a time.